Let's kick off today's explainer by diving into a digital habit that honestly we all participate in every single day without even realizing it. I mean, we spend hours upon hours online, jumping from tab to tab, but think about it. How much of what we actually learn online is done on purpose?
Seriously, have you ever gone online just to check your email, maybe shoot a quick reply to your boss, and then somehow 20 minutes later, you're deep into reading about some bizarre scientific discovery or a wildly off-the-wall event happening halfway across the globe? We have all been there. It is a totally universal experience, and as it turns out, it's profoundly shaping how we understand the world. To decode this whole behavioral framework, we're drawing directly from a really comprehensive academic study. It's called Incidental Exposure to Online News. This paper, authored by researchers Borchalun Yadam-Surin and Sanda Erdelez, serves as the complete foundation for our explainer today. They've essentially done all the heavy lifting for us, observing, measuring, and mapping out exactly why our brains just love these digital detours so much. Section 1. The accidental news consumer. Historically, reading the news was a super intentional act. You actually sat down with a physical newspaper or you tuned into a scheduled evening broadcast, right? But now we've seen this massive shift towards serendipitous, accidental consumption. Researchers identified two broad types of behavior here. You have your selectors, who focus on specific content based on what they actually need, and your browsers, who just use media to broadly soak up information. And thanks to mobile technology, wireless internet everywhere, and this endless sea of free content, news is just deeply embedded in our daily lives. We have total control over the selection process now. That means we're constantly coming across news as a mere byproduct of our other online activities, completely by accident. Section 2. Defining incidental exposure.
So, the researchers actually have a name for this. They call it IEON, which stands for Incidental Exposure to Online News. Basically, these are memorable experiences of accidentally discovering useful, interesting, or unusual news while engaging in various online activities. In plain English, it's that exact moment you stumble across a headline that is so wildly different from your usual stream of info that you just have to click it, even if you were literally just trying to log in and pay a utility bill. It's a byproduct of your everyday activities, and the key thing here is it doesn't cost you any special effort to find. It just appears.
To understand exactly how this happens, we can look at Sanda Ardelez's information encountering model. This maps out the exact cognitive steps your brain takes when getting distracted by that shiny new headline. The model assumes we're basically always switching between a foreground task, like searching for a specific email, and a background interest, like our hobbies or current events. So, first up, noticing. You see the information out of the corner of your eye. Second, stopping. You physically interrupt your original task. Third, examining. You actually read the article. Fourth, capturing. You save it, maybe by emailing it to a friend or bookmarking the page. And finally, returning. You snap right back to whatever you were originally doing. It's this distinct, measurable psychological process, and it all happens in just a matter of seconds.
Section 3. When and where it happens.
Now, you might assume this kind of thing only happens when you're scrolling through social media feeds, right? But the study highlights surprisingly diverse environments for this. Yes, it absolutely happens on traditional news sites and social networking platforms, but people are also stumbling upon news right in their email inboxes. They're finding it on alternative media and crowdsurfing sites where users already know it's a total gamble what they'll find. And incredibly, they're even prompted by non-internet sources, like just turning on the radio or having a quick chat with a friend, which then sends them online to follow up on the story. It really proves that this phenomenon isn't just limited to the internet. It's woven into the very fabric of how we interact with the world. When it comes to frequency, you might naturally think that people with tons of free time to kill are the ones who stumble upon news the most. But the study reveals a really fascinating detail. Busy people actually tend to stumble upon news way more often. Respondents reported finding unexpected news anywhere from 3 or 4 times a day, particularly when they're super busy at work and just taking quick micro breaks to refresh their brains, all the way down to just once a week for those highly intentional, focused users who rarely stray from their main tasks. Section 4. The thrill of the chase. So, how do people actually feel about these digital detours? It's not just mindless clicking. There is a real psychological payoff happening in your brain here. Out of the 20 respondents in the study's qualitative phase, a staggering 19 reported overwhelmingly positive feelings about this distraction. 19 out of 20. They described feeling lucky, excited, happy, and amused. Cognitive psychology actually tells us that positive affect is linked to neurotransmitters like dopamine. So when we randomly find something interesting, our brains are physically rewarding us for that exploration. We actually love and genuinely enjoy being interrupted by interesting information. Let's hear what one of the participants, noted as Respondent 2, had to say about it. They said, "I guess it's kind of the thrill of the chase, like you really discovered a treasure or something. It's kind of a thrill." This beautifully highlights that we inherently love the dopamine hit of learning something new unexpectedly. It really feels like unearthing a hidden gem that we might have completely missed if we were only sticking to our rigid, planned-out daily routines. Another participant, Respondent 10, shared this perspective. They said, "It is just sort of the news of the weird, just things you sort of never really even think about it, but then it's just so bizarre you just need to find out about it." I think this perfectly emphasizes our natural human curiosity. We are just hardwired to be drawn to the bizarre, the unusual, and the off-the-wall stories. It breaks up the monotony of the day and gives us something absolutely fascinating to talk about with people from diverse backgrounds. However, we do have to look at the other side of the coin. Respondent 20, who was the sole negative voice in the group, stated, "I'm not really happy. Mostly things that you're not really sure if it's true. I'm easily distracted by it." This builds a necessary tension in our understanding. It acknowledges that while these distractions are a thrill for most, they can also feel unreliable, overwhelming, and just like a frustrating waste of time for those who feel they're constantly getting pulled off task by dubious or depressing headlines. Section 5. The future of news. So what does all of this actually mean for how information reaches us and how media must evolve moving forward? Well, the conclusion of the study brings us to this absolutely critical takeaway. Media organizations must design platforms to place important stories in different corners of the internet where people naturally stumble. Think about it. If most of us are acting as casual browsers rather than intentional selectors, media outlets have to adapt. To promote a healthy, informed democratic society, publishers can't just wait around for us to intentionally seek out hard news. They need to put crucial information right in our occidental paths, weaving it into the places we're already hanging out online. By doing this, they can encourage people to see perspectives not just from like-minded groups, but from opposing views as well, sparking essential public discussion. Which brings us to our final thought for today. Is your worldview being shaped by what you intentionally seek out, or is it entirely shaped by the happy accidents you stumble upon every day? Think about the last 5 things you learned online. Did you actively search for them, or did they find you while you were busy doing something else? It's a pretty fascinating lens to view our digital lives through, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.